Are you drowning in a sea of student loan debt with interest rates as your relentless waves? Imagine being adrift on the vast ocean of financial obligation where your hard-earned treasure is constantly under threat from the menacing shark of student loan debt. Each month it circles, waiting to take a bite out of your paycheck. Or perhaps you feel more like you're aboard a pirate ship, where the ruthless captain is your loan provider, and they're making you walk the plank into an abyss of endless repayments. It's easy to feel lost in this storm. The wind howls with the voices of collection agencies, and the compass of financial stability seems forever out of reach. It feels like a tempest with no end, a journey with no destination, a ship that's sinking under the weight of its own cargo. But what if I told you there's a lifeboat in this vast ocean of debt? It's called student loan forgiveness. Now meet Joe. Joe is a lot like you. He's smart, he's hardworking, and he's got a student loan debt that's bigger than his aspirations. So, our friend Joe, fresh out of college, was brimming with dreams and a student loan debt that felt like a heavy anchor. But one day he stumbled upon a treasure map. It was a map to a place called Student Loan Forgiveness. Intrigued, he decided to embark on this journey. In the beginning, Joe was a little lost, like a sailor battling the kraken of paperwork. The forms seemed endless, the terms and conditions as convoluted as the Gordian knot, but he persevered. He pored over the documents, decoded the jargon, and finally submitted his application. Then came the Bermuda Triangle of eligibility criteria. Joe had to prove that he was working in public service, that he had made 120 qualifying payments, and that his loans were federal direct loans. This was a tricky phase, with Joe juggling between his job, his loan statements, and his patience. But he navigated through it all, armed with determination and a steady supply of coffee. And then he waited. He waited for what felt like forever, his hopes and fears rising and falling like the ocean tides. Until one day he received a letter. His application had been approved. His student loan was forgiven. The relief that washed over him was like the calm after a storm. Suddenly his dreams didn't seem so unreachable. His aspirations didn't seem dwarfed by his debt. Joe could now focus on his career, on building a future without the looming cloud of student debt. In his journey, Joe had faced the kraken, navigated the Bermuda Triangle, and emerged victorious. He had discovered a way to lighten his financial burden and reignite his hopes. He had found a lifeline in the sea of student debt. And just like that, Joe saw land. He had found his way out of the debt ocean. So, you're probably wondering, what is this student loan forgiveness that helped Joe, and how can it help me? Well, imagine you're a pirate, adrift on a sea of debt with a map that leads to a treasure chest filled with relief. That's student loan forgiveness for you. Now let's talk about this treasure chest. It's not filled with gold doubloons or glittering gems, but it's just as valuable. It's filled with possibilities. The possibility to wipe your debt slate clean, to stop the incessant ka-ching of accruing interest, and to start anew. That, me hearties, is worth more than any pirate's booty. But of course, every treasure has its guardians, and every map its riddles. In our case, the guardians are the eligibility criteria. You see, not every swashbuckling borrower can lay claim to this treasure. Only those who have embarked on certain voyages, like public service or teaching, may qualify. And the riddles? Those are the application procedures and the paperwork. Don't fret though, with the right compass and a stout heart, they're nothing you can't handle. The process may seem as complex as a pirate's knot, but fear not, it's simply a matter of showing that you've been sailing the rough seas of debt for a while, that you've been making consistent payments, and that you're in a qualifying job. If you can prove all that, then congratulations. You may just find yourself on the shores of relief, gazing upon the treasure chest of student loan forgiveness. So what's in it for you? Well, depending on your voyage, you could see a significant portion or even all of your student loan debt vanish just like a ghost ship in the fog. And that, dear friends, is a treasure worth seeking. So, who's ready to bail out of their sinking debt ship and swim towards the island of student loan forgiveness? Ready to set sail towards the horizon of financial freedom? Here's your compass. First, weigh anchor and cast off from the dock of ignorance. Knowledge is your first mate in this voyage, so be sure to familiarize yourself with the student loan forgiveness programs available. Next, plot your course. Each program has different eligibility requirements and benefits, so choose the one that suits your situation best. Now don't be a landlubber. Get your sea legs and climb the rigging to the crow's nest of application. Filling out the necessary paperwork might seem like scaling a mast in a storm, but remember, every sailor must face the wind sometime. Finally, Keep a weather eye on the horizon. Stay informed about changes to programs and be ready to adjust your course as necessary. And remember, in the sea of student loan debt, student loan forgiveness is your lifeboat. So hoist the sails and chart your course to financial freedom.